Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. We are once again at the legendary Sardi's, and my guests are two of Broadway's beloved Tony Award-winning producers who love the theater and the arts. And they have created BroadwayHD, which is an online streaming service that brings live theater to you, up close and personal, from the stage to your screen, now and for generations to come. Please welcome Bonnie Comley and Stewart F. Lane. Hi there, how are you?
We are great. We skied over.
I love this. Our first big snow day here.
Yeah.
We're sitting here at the legendary Sardi's, and right behind us, I mean, look at this. This is gorgeous. Your portrait, right?
That's right.
It's a friendly caricature.
Yeah. Do you remember the day you got it and sort of it was unveiled, and what went through your minds?
Oh, very exciting.
Well, I was in a panic because I didn't know if it was going to look like us, or if that we were going to, or if it would look like me, and I didn't like that it looked like me. So you never really know till they open it up. And I was like, oh, that actually is kind of cute.
And I was concerned about how the teeth would look in a smile like that. So I said, let's just give it a nice smile without the teeth.
The hair.
But it must be so wonderful because this is such a legendary spot, Sardi's, and to have your caricature up here must be so great for the two of you because you two love the theater.
Oh God, and Sardi's always been a friend to the theater as well. They still have the actor's menu, I think.
Sure, yeah. So as we get started here, I have to say that one of the best things that has ever happened to the theater is what you two have created in BroadwayHD.
Thank you.
So take me back to the beginning. How did it all come about for you to do, and what did you want to achieve?
Stu and I have been involved in what we now call digital captures for over 20 years at this point. So we call them digital captures. They used to be called like filmed or videotaped or digitized, but digital capture seems to be the term for when you go into a theater where a live performance is on stage with all of your cameras and then you shoot what is going on stage. And digital capture is probably a good term because it makes it sound like you wrestled something to the ground, and that's kind of how you feel after you do one. So we had done these shows, what we called one-offs, over the years, because we'd be working on the live show and would say, this is amazing and it's going to close, and more people should be able to see this and experience this show. So we'd find a way to go in and bring all the cameras in and do it. And we had done, over the years, probably about 10. And every single time they were critically acclaimed and people loved them, but it wasn't really a business. And probably about 4 years ago, Stu and I looked at each other and said, well, where is the business here? And we thought, the whole world is going to streaming. That's it, we should stream. But only having 10 shows does not make a destination for a streaming platform. So we went out and we looked at colleagues and started to find where these other pieces of material, these other pieces of content were, and we aggregated it all into one place. So when we launched the website, which was just over 2 years ago, we had just over 100 titles, and now we're up to 230, I think.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
big number.
Amazing. And that's full-length stage plays and musicals.
Yeah.
So it was kind of almost an accident that we put everything in one place. So just like an MTV or a CNN or a Turner Classics, all this similar content is all in one place now. And if we don't have it, we're in talks to get it when it is available to stream off of our BroadwayHD.com platform.
And when Bonnie was saying we were looking for where the business is, it was a matter of culture and technology coming together. I mean, people, as we mentioned earlier, for years the idea was kind of kicked around as to how can we expand the universe of just those 40 theaters on Broadway and the experience. And it was the way, not only the way people listened to their entertainment, but watching it on their cell phones, on their iPads, on their desktops. And all of a sudden a younger generation was coming up that viewed theater in a whole different way. And actually our biggest clientele is like the 18 to 45 young people that can't afford to come to New York because either the monetary challenges or geographical challenges. So it's been a real business because we have so many platforms. On top of that, there's alternative content in movie theaters as well as broadcast and distribution on a global scale.
Sure. Because I think one of the coolest things is anybody can stream one of these performances from BroadwayHD on any device, any time of day.
Anytime, anywhere.
It's changing the way people are consuming live theater. You know, you can go, you know, to the greatest shows here. We have the pinnacle of live entertainment with the Broadway community here in New York City, but that isn't available everywhere, and you have to get to Times Square. You have to be here at 8 o'clock, and now you can binge watch, you know, a musical, you know, series, you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning. You can watch, you know, Shakespeare, 3 different versions of Hamlet, one after the other. So we're actually changing the way that people are consuming theater. And we're also a gateway so that the people that, you know, for as long as the Broadway League has been taking the audience measurements, the demographics of who's actually buying the tickets to the live Broadway shows, it's been basically the same person. It is over 40 years old, white, usually female, higher educated, higher income bracket, and that's been that way for years. And a lot of that is because just that over 40 is when people have a little bit more free time and money that they can go out and go to the theater. You know, when they're younger, you go with your parents, and then so from 18 to whatever, you're in college, and then your early career, and then maybe you start a family. So you don't really sort of grow into that 8 o'clock at night for a $100 ticket until you're over 40.
Well, most of my theater friends had to be 30 years old or older when they already started to have kids before they actually started thinking of, like, let's go to the theater as a group.
How many different devices can people use? You can use, tell us.
Well, there's the cell phone, your iPad, there's the desktop, there's Apple, Roku.
How many devices are there?
You know,
there's a lot of
Apple, Roku. You know, it's really any, and we have our own app. So you know.
So the Apple TVs, and it's it pretty much any device that you watch your entertainment on.
But what I also love about your site, when you watch one of these performances, you actually feel like you're in the theater live with that same excitement. Now, that's something you worked really hard on to perfect of how you film these. Talk about that.
That was sort of a mandate that we had when we first started out, that what do we really want to do with this? And the idea was to try, you know, if you can't get to Broadway, get to BroadwayHD. That's our motto. Because we're trying to get a sense, to recreate the excitement and the feeling that you get when you go to a live performance in a Broadway theater. Now, you can't replicate that, but we want you to feel that we are there with the audience. So there is interaction. We do see the audience coming in. Yeah. We see the actors on stage in real time, sweating and fighting and breathing hard after a dance routine. And I think there's a certain authenticity to that audiences enjoy today, especially in the electronic age and how much we're bombarded by electronic entertainment. So yes, definitely the live entertainment experience. And we actually feel that this is a great way to promote and market live theater. Because once you've seen it, once you've seen the capture that we've done, you go, I've got to go and experience that myself. I want to interact with the actors. One of the shows that we shot was Ernest Shackleton Loves Me. Yeah. And at one point, the actor comes off the stage and starts talking with the audience. And I know that when people see that, they go, I want to be in that audience and try some of that seal blubber that he's handing out there and be part of the experience. And I think we're not a movie and we're not a TV show. We are trying to create the theater-going experience and expand that sense on a global level.
Yeah. Talk about the importance of preserving these performances for generations to come.
I think that, you know, as I said before, Broadway is just the pinnacle of live entertainment. So you have the best, you know, talent of actors, scenic designers, directors, composers, lyricists. Everybody is at the top of their game when they get to Broadway. And I think that, you know, to have the original cast members is so exciting. To be able to see the work of people that might not be here anymore is, you know, it's how you learn, it's how we share, it's how we continue this. And then we also see, you know, someone else's interpretation. So I think that, you know, on our site we have several shows that we have several different versions of it. And people will watch one after the other because it's all the same story. We all know how Romeo and Juliet ends, how it goes, but you just go along for the journey, for that story, and how that particular production was interpreted. You
know, there are so many things that the theater can do that you cannot create in cinema or television, and part of that is letting your suspension of disbelief take over. So when we shoot a show like The Woodsman, which is a puppetry piece with the Tin Man's, how the Tin Man became the Tin Man, and you're actually interacting with a puppet, and you know it's being manipulated by 4 or 5 different actors, but the character of the Tin Man takes on his own life. and you believe that, almost like watching a war horse and Joey the horse. I mean, you start to believe it's a real horse. Now, we know it's a puppet. We know we're sitting in a theater, but you start saying, oh, the horse, he's going to hurt himself going up the aisle like that, you know? It's a theater. What's wrong with you? So it's kind of fun, and we're able to capture some of that essence with Broadway HD.
You know, another great thing you do is you offer closed captioning. How important was this for you?
We didn't really think about it at first, but if you look at who that Broadway demographic is, the older 40 person, and they've been coming to the theater for years and years, a lot of people are now moving out of New York City, and we're all, if we're lucky enough to live into, you know, a grand old age, we are becoming disabled as we get older. Our mobility slows down or totally stops. Our hearing, our vision, we become disabled. And so we had several organizations that people love theater and they weren't comfortable going into the theater, or they don't drive at night, and they didn't want to come into Times Square. So they reached out and they said, you know, why don't you have things closed captioned? And we were like, you know, hey, you're right, we should. And we were able to, you know, put the whole catalog that we have and get it closed captioned. So, and then we also have some Spanish language pieces that are on there that are now subtitled into English for people too. So that captioning thing, sort of the closed caption turned into like, well, if we're going to do that, you know, we could actually put other languages on there and put that into English for everybody, as well as the, you know, the hearing impaired. So, you know, it sort of opened up, and I think that, you know, that's part of the beauty of Broadway HD is that people are asking us for things that they want. So we're sort of, by demand or request, we're providing them with what it is that they wanted. And that's really kind of exciting too, you know, these things. And the foreign language, the different countries. When we launched just over 2.5 years ago, we concentrated all of our marketing and PR dollars in the U.S. It was English speaking. Our titles are all in English. So we said, okay, let's be smart and concentrate it here, and then we'll build off of it from there. And by the time we launched, within like 3 days, we were getting requests to customer service saying, I'm trying to watch your shows, but you don't take my currency. So we had to then open it up. They're like, I wasn't even looking for you. How did you even know that we were here? And I think that's the power of the internet, and it's the power of the Broadway brand, that it is just a globally recognized brand. You can go anywhere in the world and say Broadway, and if people have never been to a Broadway show, they can tell you what it is. You know, or they have a real good idea of what it is. And that's kind of amazing. That's, you know, that's sort of like the, you know, you show somebody the Coca-Cola or that golden arches of McDonald's and just go, oop, and they might not even speak English, and they can tell you what that is. And that's kind of the brand of Broadway, is that you can go anywhere in the world and people will tell you, oh, it's, you know, the pinnacle of live entertainment. It's in these big, beautiful theaters with all these, and they usually think that, and usually feel that it's musical.
Which is a major reason why we called it Broadway HD, not just Theater HD or anything else. We wanted to explain that we are professional, we are quality, we are first rate, and the best talent that America has to offer is here in New York City. Because even when shows originate in the hinterlands of the regional theaters, coming to New York is the ultimate goal. Playing Broadway, then you know you've been successful.
Well, let's talk about content. Not only do you have the best of Broadway, Off-Broadway, and the classics, you have West End shows. I mean, talk about the type of content you have now.
Well, we wanted to expand on the Broadway concept. Again, keep the high quality of it. Yeah. So we felt Broadway was a good anchor, and then we said, let's share some of Off-Broadway, some of the material, some shows that are really worth seeing, but come and go so quickly, not everyone gets a chance to see it, like The Woodsman. Yeah. So a wide variety of musicals and plays, West End, regional theater, New York, Geffen Playhouse in California as well.
Yeah, we have some great partnerships. We've partnered with, as Stu mentioned, the Geffen Playhouse. We have the Public Theater. Roundabout has been a terrific partner with us, and Lincoln Center. So when you get these like mega, you know, successful theater organizations that are looking to to collaborate with us in a way to help build their brand and make their brand more recognizable, which we're happy to do because we feel that it's important. And the whole idea of like opening up that it's not just on a Broadway stage, some of the performances, but if you look, those people are all like union people that have worked on Broadway. Yeah. So they're out in another theater or they're in the West End. So Audra McDonald doing Lady Day here, and Audra McDonald getting her Olivier nomination for the first time in the West End. So it's the same players. Some of these same players are working in these different theaters. So the quality is still there, the caliber of it's just, again, these guys are top of their game. And so it doesn't, in that sense, it doesn't always matter what venue they're in, because the story is there and the talent is there.
It's such an easy site to navigate through, too, which I think is really wonderful, especially in this day and age of,
We've got a great team that helped put together that, and we experimented a lot with it. So thank you for saying that. We really appreciate it, because we are very sensitive to our customers, to our subscribers.
We are constantly putting in new features and functions to make it easier for people to use, and easier to share content there or make recommendations about content that somebody else should watch. Adding some sort of related pieces underneath that if people want to go a little bit deeper into what this content is about, and study guides can be available where you have an educational arm for distribution that we use to make not our entire catalog, but some of our content available to from elementary through college, which is really exciting because it's about sharing this stuff. It's amazing, amazing work, and it's all about like people seeing it. So it's opening up those four walls of the Broadway theater and just bringing down all the barriers. So all the barriers of geography, of economics, of any sort of physical limitations that you might have. And then giving people not just the best seat in the house, but probably the best, maybe for the big musicals, we're giving them the best 14 seats in the house.
Yeah, we use like 14 cameras when we shoot some of our bigger musicals, so you get not only the first row of the orchestra, but 5th row, 10th row, side of the house.
You see everything, which I love.
Balcony view, yes, you get a really different perspective on it. And of course, it's a different art form in itself, so you're getting close-ups, you're getting angles, you're getting even a new experience. So even though you're in a live theater, you're experiencing the show like no one has ever done before.
I love it. Let's talk about some of your latest projects and some of the highlights at Broadway HD. Tell me about Toxic Avenger.
Well, Toxic Avenger was here in New York, and it's just really funny. It's just really funny and irreverent and not politically correct and all sorts of things. But we're big Joe DiPietro fans, and so he made it available. They made it available, and we said, let's go get it, and it looks great. I'm laughing as it's just really silly. It's just
beautifully done. We shot it. It was a tiny theater, so it was tough getting the cameras in there. But we got a great capture of it, and really caught the feeling of the whole Tromaville and Troma Productions, which is, if you know, it has its own kind of cult lifestyle and cult following.
Cult following. In fact, we're going to premiere it at the Chicago Comic-Con.
Kevin Kline in Present Laughter.
Yeah, we have Kevin Kline in Cyrano de Bergerac too.
And
it's a totally different type of, and you see the range that he can play. I mean, Tony nominated for that, Emmy Award for that, and then to go from that to Present Laughter, there's still like the comedy there, but I mean, he's, watching him, he's just so precise with every single gesture and every inflection of his voice. It's, to say like, oh, it's an acting lesson. Watching him sounds like, ugh, who wants to have a lesson on anything? But he's amazing. And it's just so much fun.
He's fun, and after you've seen him in that, you can watch him in Hamlet, which is totally different from either Cyrano or Present.
You're going to have to add a new click-on for him at your site, just for Kevin Kline.
The drop-down category of Kevin Kline.
She loves me. I mean, falsettos. Look at these other incredible musicals. No one could steal a seat to falsettos in town, or She Loves Me, and now they can watch it here.
And now here they are. We actually just spoke to a woman the other day, and her 10-year-old has watched falsettos like 20 times already, she said, which I was laughing. I'm like, all the stuff that's there, but that fascinated her, and so she's got the songs down and everything, and it's just, again, just exposing reminding people of something that, then they're going to go find something else on the site that they like. So, and it was interesting because this 10-year-old was making recommendations to the mom about what she should watch.
That's how it's done.
Site.
Theater goers of the future.
Yes.
What are you the most proud about Broadway HD? What makes you the proudest?
That other people are coming to us now. 2.5 years ago, when we approached colleagues in the Broadway League and said, we want to come in and shoot your show, and they said, that's Hollywood, that's a movie, that's not what we do. And now they're coming to us and saying, when should we do this? And I think that 180-degree turn in just 2 years within an industry is, within an old business that is very set in their ways, is huge. I mean, that's turning the Queen Mary around. And so I'm very proud of the way that we have respected the fears of what the Broadway industry and what our colleagues, rightly so. I mean, they're afraid that, okay, if we digitize all this stuff, are you just going to kill the Broadway of the live business? And we keep saying we're not. And here's why we're not. And here's another example, of why this is working. So we're not, trying to, run at them, shoot something and take it, and kill their business. Yeah. We're not trying to kill the goose that's laying the golden eggs. And I think that, again, that's part of being a partner and part of being collaborative, is saying, well, what are you afraid of? So let's work around that. You don't want that to be seen right now, so let's shoot it and we'll hold it for a little bit until you're comfortable, or we'll shoot it and we'll hold it and we'll distribute it outside of where the tour is going or where that show is playing right now. And I think by respecting what people are fearful of and have them understand it and get more comfortable with it, I think that's the biggest thing, is to sort of make a big change within the industry.
I think the proudest thing I have about Broadway HD is that it exists at all. This is something that is so amazing that to maintain the integrity of what we're doing, the quality of the network that we have, the sharing of an industry that I love and spent my lifetime in. I've seen other people talk the talk for years. Oh, we should do this. It's great to have an idea. What they say, 10% inspiration, 90% perspiration. Well, it's getting the job done. Yeah. And I mentioned earlier when we first started that it was the idea of culture and technology coming together, and the way people watch entertainment. It's also the way they respect theater now. The shows like Glee and movies like Pitch Perfect, Smash, and the new show that's coming on, Rise. This is theater seen in a whole new light, and we are pioneers. We're unregulated, we are unknown, we're doing something that's never been done before. And I find that very exciting. That's what I'm really most proud of.
I compose musical installations.
You get the best seat in the house. You can literally sit there with your snacks in hand, in your pajamas, comfortable, and you can watch it over and over and over again as much as you like.
And if you listen to the beat,
there's no bad seat. You get the best angle everywhere. The best seat in the house is in your house.